Hey everyone, welcome to our Go Beyond Summit. I'm Justin Franson here with the legendary Troy Casey, certified health nut extraordinaire, one of my favorite peeps. You guys, we are live in Encinitas. We're doing something really interesting. We just had a great barbecue, but what we're gonna do is talk about urban freedom and what that means in Troy's world. What does urban freedom mean? You guys, this is the Urban Freedom Summit, and we are looking to go beyond on our freedoms and our health and our body sovereignty. And there is no better person to talk about this topic than Troy Casey himself. So, certified health nut, take it over. What is your definition of urban freedom?
To do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want to do it.
Body sovereignty?
Body sovereignty, well, I'm gonna have to source good food. I'm gonna have to source good water. I'm gonna have to have access to it. And again, the freedom to do so and no impedance doing so.
Isn't that what your book was premised on? Clean air, water,
Soil and equitable systems is my vision for all of mankind in my lifetime. If you don't know what an equitable system is, I have a one-way ticket to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, or anywhere else the natural resource of oil is coveted. And other natural resources too, but oil is the big one, and based on the petrodollar, which is all enslaving us from the Federal Reserve, which is neither. Really unpack that last sentence.
Yeah, well, Troy moved out of Venice Beach, California, and he moved to Sedona, Arizona, and he was literally living in that urban environment. And tell us what you saw and literally what made you shift that geographic area to feed your soul even more by having even more urban, freedom.
So I started drinking ayahuasca in the Amazon with the Shipibo Indians in 2006, and I had three very powerful visions. And one is that ultimately humanity makes it from the precipice of ecological disaster and all the manifest destiny elements that are playing out right in front of us. And so I lectured for at least a decade about the quantum leap in human consciousness because I saw that vision happening. And people would ask me all the time, well, what do you mean? And oil exploration is the number one deforestation component. And then I looked at the way of the world directly connected to the petrodollar, the central bankers funding both sides of the war since Napoleon. And so I knew things required a massive upgrade beyond oil, beyond the petrodollar and Nikola Tesla type technology. And I didn't know how it would manifest, yet I studied the Wright brothers. I studied Steve Jobs. People called them crazy. Steve Jobs wanted to create these handheld computers for the average man to have impact in the world or to have a fighting chance. And I've been able to change the world in many dramatic ways, and people write me all the time from offering them information on holistic health, nutrition, stress management, and the pitfalls that they don't see, the chemical stress and the electromagnetic stress. So in a very short amount of time, I was able to do that with these inventions. And so from there, I would lecture on the quantum leap in human consciousness. I don't know exactly how it was going to shake out. And energetically, I studied the Mayan calendar. We moved through 2012. There wasn't a big shift. I kind of knew there wasn't going to be a big shift at that time, yet we were still moving through it. This is ancient prophecy, and I could feel it. And so we went past 2015, 2017, 2019, and I was like, man, nothing's really happened yet. And 2020 kicked in, the year of intervision. And sure enough, they announced the coronavirus nonsense, and I knew that was it. Within 2 weeks, my neighborhood was empty, yet the homelessness and the partying in the alley and the friskiness of the homelessness. I watched this guy that used to train martial arts. He was a homeless guy on the beach for many years. And after this happened, I watched him rip apart aluminum cans, which makes razor blades. And then he was chewing them with his mouth and ripping them open. And he was just acting kind of weird. And I'd seen him on the beach for a while. And then I witnessed him go after 3 blonde tourists. He was a skinny black guy. He was like a black Bruce Lee. Really interesting guy. But when I went up and talked to him many months before this, he had a screw loose. And I was like, oh, he's a homeless guy. He's got some mental issues. So I watched him walk up behind these young blonde teenagers and pick one of them up. And I was like, ooh, that's some trouble. There's some trouble waiting here. And I was doing Qigong on the grass, and I packed up when he started ripping the aluminum cans, which make razor blades, right?
Wow.
And so I was like, this is a little dangerous. I have 2 small children. I spend a lot of time on the beach. Everyone's locked down, and then we've got big problems here. And so I got my family out of what I saw as the totalitarian tiptoe towards encroaching on my own rights. And I wanted to, especially with the masks. I didn't play the mask game one iota. And then from there, I went on vacation, spent a lot of time in Arizona, in Sedona, and I went out there. There was a school that was open and no masks. And so I got my children out there as soon as possible. And I never thought I would leave Muscle Beach. I was there for 25 years. I loved it there. I had an incredible lifestyle. And the writing was on the wall. I went back recently, 2 years after that whole Corona scam went down. And Gold's Gym, which was my stomping grounds, they had a homeless encampment around it even before I left. But what happened when coronavirus happened, they chain link fenced it in. People had masks on. They were inside working out, and they were kind of normalized, but it was like boiling frogs. So some of the old timers, bodybuilders that you've looked in magazines for a long time, they're still working out there. They're like, hey, Troy, how's it going? And they were trying to act normal. And I was like, chain link fence with crackheads roaming around it, loud, homeless encampments everywhere. And I go, how are you guys doing? Like, isn't this kind of weird? You got a chain link fence, you got to work outside. You're a health and fitness, or you're a fitness person, and this is blocking the first level of nutrition and bacteria and all that stuff. Like, isn't that kind of weird? And they're like, oh, well, you get used to it kind of thing. And it was literally boiling frogs. And I'm so glad that I got the fuck out of there, because I have some semblance of freedom. But also, I live there, and if you know anything about the World Economic Forum and UN Agenda 21 from the Rio Summit in '92, this stuff is written. And so I was in Arizona last year, and the fires happened, directed energy weapons. I don't know what it was, or lightning, or there were some fires. They tried to blame it on the campers or whatever, and what they said was, you're locked out of the forest. And this was June, and they did it for up into September. A bunch of us got together, did a rain dance, and it rained within 2 weeks. But those signs took about another 3 weeks to come down, and the signs were marked for September. If you get caught in the forest, $5,000 to $10,000 fine. Fuck that. I'm a wild animal. How are you going to take the wild animal out of the forest? And so just like in Hawaii, you can't block access to the beach, even if you're Mark Zuckerberg and you own beachfront land. And so same thing applies. And so that was the climate lockdowns they're getting ready to do. And I sniffed that out. And so it's also a constitutional state. I bought my son, we went to a gun show, AR-15, readily available, ammo. I just felt more free. And, I come back here and I express my freedom however I want. And I start talking to people. Why are you wearing that thing on your face? Oh, germs and this and that. Oh, do you know the difference between germ theory and terrain theory? People want to tell me to calm down. Hey, first of all, we're having a conversation. Second of all, this is constitutionally protected activity. I'm having a dialogue with you. You're so blocked that you can't have it. So of course I get animated, and people get flipped out, and they want to call the cops on me for having a conversation with them. But here's the thing, I'm here to engage, period. And this is part of my new merch line. Catch me outside, bish, right? This is the whole thing from last year's trying to lock me out of the national forest, right? So that's my whole attitude. And I got to watch myself because I don't want to end up in jail, right? And there could be some weird stuff. But I express myself vocally as I see fit. And I think it warrants dialogue and a conversation. If we're conscious people and you're trying to mask children up, child abuse, and you're trying to lock people in their house, this is imprisonment. This is totalitarianism, right? Because none of this fake mandate stuff supersedes the Constitution of the United States of America, which is a sacred document in my humble opinion. Why? Because we don't need the fucking document. It just so happens that we're called the most advanced civilization on the face of the planet because we wrote our God-given gifts down on a piece of paper. Yes, America has their issues and we fight their proxy wars through the bankers that use the American military. Yes, yes, yes. However, we're still free, and we got the First Amendment, which is backed up by the Second Amendment, and the only reason the whole world isn't locked down and anybody has any semblance of freedom is because of the Second Amendment. Look deeply into that. And so, anyways, that's a lot, but I'm extremely passionate about this because it's up to us. Ain't nobody coming to save us. Study Pol Pot, study Mao Zedong, study Stalin, Hitler. Who funded Hitler? The Bush family. Who gave Hitler the oil? Who built the motors for the Sherman tanks? Ford Motor Company. So there's a little bit more that meets the eye. What happened with Operation Paperclip? I could tell you, but there's your homework. So look into it a little bit deeper and then start making decisions from your soul, your intestinal fortitude, your nuts in place. Really think about this at a soul level, at an intuition level, at a vibrational level inside. Get quiet enough to feel that because you're an all-knowing self-healing mechanism. The power that created you is the power that healed you. Food is medicine, movement is medicine, yet they're teaching you that the only thing that's going to come and save you is some kind of pharmaceutical lab person with quote on science, but it's all research bias. And the methodology of science is a methodology of observation, and it's ever changing. Electron microscope and the Hubble telescope, we can look bigger and smaller and have understandings, and it's ever evolving. But go back to, Louis Pasteur's contemporary, Antoine Beauchamp, and study the difference between germ theory and terrain theory before they try and sell you more genocide, which is what they're doing with this totalitarian tiptoe. So my message to everyone is wake up, start smelling the coffee or drinking a little bit more coffee to wake up, right? Get your neurotropic elements, your brain firing, because a lot of people just gave up their own power and said, yes, boss, whatever you say, boss.
So Troy's known for his breath work as well. So I would really encourage you guys to take note, follow some of his work on the breathing. His breath work is some of my favorite out there. And it is just really raw. It's like, okay, let's just breathe right now. Okay, and you just start breathing. And that is how you start this process of feeling free and building your life force and building your chi.
The first form of nutrition that exists. So no water, you're dead in 3 to 5 days or 5 to 7 days. No food, it takes 40 to 50 days to die. And then no oxygen, 3 to 5 minutes. So it's the first form of nutrition, oxygen.
And that's where you get all your minerals. And that's where you get those minerals to have conductivity so you can start to absorb the water. That the 5G is destructuring so you don't absorb it. So we have all these moving parts as far as what health is and what is chipping away at our health. And guys like Troy have the biggest heart and awareness and voice, really powerful voice and powerful orator to be able to communicate all this and really tangibly explain it, but then be an ambassador. He wrote a book called Ripped at 50. You're now what age?
56.
56.
And this is what my theories, these aren't half-baked theories, right? This is the way my tissues look at 56, right? I'm not a gym rat. And so I lower my stress levels, optimize my nutrition, and I don't mess around with my sleep, right? I pay attention to basic biology, physiology, and psychology, just basic. Basics will take you. martial arts mastery, black belts, master the basics.
He's ripped at 56.
6.
So I am humbled at that just alone, because what it takes, what your body does and how it shifts, and the knowing that the vaccine that is people are recommending, gives you 20% lower testosterone instantly for a male or female. And then knowing that when you're sitting in a Tesla or an electric car, sitting on a battery. Troy, have you ever read a health book that says sitting on a battery is good for your health?
No.
Okay, me neither. And we've been in the biz for about 30 some years. So what we do know is that sitting on a battery in one of those cars has been tested at 18% lower testosterone. So you combine that 20 with the 18, you're gonna take a perfect healthy person and turn them into a really sick person.
And if you want to boost your testosterone, tune in to Certified Health Nut, because we have many tips, tricks, and tools to do it naturally forever.
Yeah. So you guys, Troy Casey, we're running out of light here. I have to take my hat off because it's getting so dark, but I am so grateful for all his messaging, for his friendship, and for his voice. I mean, we both were supposed to speak at Bulletproof Conference last year. I made the flight and wore the mask on the plane, but kind of didn't. And he would not get on the plane.
Well, I couldn't. I was ready to play the game to a certain level, and I had a nice silk scarf, and it was all fashioned out, and it was cool. And then the lady with the other cotton cloth mask said no. And I said, what's the difference? She said, don't argue with me. And I was like, fuck you. and that didn't work. So I got to take myself out of the picture sometimes.
So anyhow, you guys, this is what freedom looks like. And hey, we're fighting right now verbally with our consciousness, raising our consciousness and teaching you about how to boost your health and your vitality so you don't fear anything. And when you're connected to God, you're protected. So you shouldn't fear anything. So just off of that alone, that's all you really need to know about being free, is being connected, and then staying grounded and getting grounded by nature, because that's your nature. When you have that,
you're getting hammered by the electromagnetic pollution daily. If you don't have an antidote for that, number one thing you can do is be healthy, man. So whatever Justin's teaching, I mean, I hug this guy, he's strong as an ox, right? I love that, right? The brothers and sisters that I hang out with, they have that strength in their body, some semblance of health, right? It's very easy when you get back to the basics.
Yeah. Well, look, we're ambassadors. He goes running. He does Qigong. I do Tai Chi and Qigong. I surf. I play beach volleyball. I ski and snowboard. And any activity you're going to see, from tennis to basketball, you'll see me doing it at a really high level, especially when it's in the ocean and the waves get bigger. That's what health is. And that's what building your life force is we're absolutely designed to be one with nature. I mean, I had Jim Gale go free diving with me in 58-degree water for a half hour in the middle of winter. This is how resilient.
That's freedom. You can actually use your apparatus in time and space in the third dimension. If you can't do that, you don't have freedom. You're a slave to some other kind of element. But we're losing light.
We are losing light. We're out of time. You guys, thank you so much. Check out Troy Casey. Where can they find you?
TroyCasey.com, Certified Health Nut all day, baby.
Thank you.